Hello and good morning. It's Phil Thatch and I'm here on my back porch. It is Labor Day, so I've got the day off of work, and Heather and I are going to go down to Georgia and visit her family today. But while Heather was in the shower, I came and just looked outside and I saw way over here on the peach tree back there, I saw what I thought was a blue-gray gnatcatcher, and I've definitely seen hummingbirds flying around. And I thought, gosh, if I'm going to get a picture of that blue-gray gnatcatcher with this distance from the porch, I probably should put the 800mm lens on. So I went to the room of camera gear and I put my 800mm lens on my R7, and I came out to try to photograph that blue-gray gnatcatcher. And of course, by the time I did all that, it was gone. But we definitely have hummingbirds flying around. Got the hummingbird feeder out. You know, it's of course Labor Day. It's early September, which is when the hummingbirds, the ruby-throated hummingbirds, are getting all fattened up for their flight to go down south, probably in a month or less. So the hummingbird activity at the feeder is pretty good. But with the 800 on, because of its poor minimum focus distance, and I know I could adjust that with a extension tube, but I didn't have one on because I was planning on shooting all the way over there. With the 800, I can't, even all the way at the back of the porch, I can't get a shot of the birds by the feeder. Plus it's f11, so I really can't get my shutter speed fast enough on this overcast morning to photograph a hummingbird hovering anyway. It would just be a big blur. But the hummingbird did land a few times over on the peach tree, which is what I was kind of set up to photograph. And I made a few shots of the hummingbird on the peach tree, and I know at least one of those is going to come out good. And I also photographed these Leland cypress, this row of Leland cypress that are planted right on the property line. When they, a few years ago, they were fantastic, but now they've gotten so big that if the hummingbird were to land right here, I can even touch them. It's too close for the 800, but a couple of times it landed way back in the tree, and I was able to get a shot. And I'm shooting at the most ridiculously slow shutter speeds. I think one of the hummingbird shots that I'm happy with, based on looking at the back of the camera, was at 1/160th on a 800mm lens on APS-C. So that is just crazy. Let's take a look at those. Here is the juvenile male ruby-throated hummingbird there, deep in the Leland cypress, very, very dark. It took 10,000 ISO for this 1/200th of a second photograph. I really do like the 800mm lens on the R7 if you shoot in electronic shutter. You need a really slow shutter speed with that lens because the f11 and the camera doesn't do well at high ISO, so low shutter speed is the way to go. And with electronic shutter, it works well. With the mechanical shutter at a low shutter speed, there's such a hard shutter shock on this camera with the mechanical shutter that it makes your pictures blurry, but with the electronic shutter, it does great. So that's my recommendation with this camera. If you're shooting at a low shutter speed, make sure to use the electronic shutter. Here is one more photograph of that same ruby-throated hummingbird. This time it's way over about 50 feet away on the peach tree. And now let's go to Heather's mom and dad's. Heather and I have come to Heather's parents' house, and their backyard is an absolute bird sanctuary. She's using the 100 to 500. I'm still got the 800mm on, and there's bird feeders all over the place and a beautiful crepe myrtle. And we are hearing all sorts of birds, so hopefully we'll get some shots for you. Here are Heather's photographs. This is a female house finch. Heather used the 100 to 500 the whole time. Her photos will have Heather Boyd written at the bottom right. And this is probably the most regal looking female house finch photograph I have ever seen. Heather did a great job. And we brought our dog with us. This is Libby, our English bulldog. We brought her down to Heather's parents' house and hung around there doing bird photography and eating all sorts of good food and socializing. And they've got a lot of northern cardinals in their backyard, and we took photos of them. Here are my shots, and you can see with the 800 sometimes you can be a little too close to the birds. This is another female house finch,
And this is kind of reminds me of the hummingbird photo I made back home, but this is a hummingbird photo in their backyard. And speaking of too close, this is 800 millimeters at just about minimum focus distance, a photograph of Heather's parents' Pomeranian. And here are a few photographs I made of I think this is a juvenile or immature male northern cardinal. You can see where it's just starting to turn red, and all three of these photos were made kind of in the same sequence. And the bird turned around in the tree and it kind of ended up ruffling up its tail feathers. But I thought it was kind of a beautiful and funny sequence of photos that I enjoyed editing and sharing with you.
What did you get a picture of, Heather?
I got an Ovenbird.
Is that the first time you've ever gotten one?
Yep, that's an offer.
All right, congrats.
Here are Heather's Ovenbird photos. What a beautiful little bird. And she did such a great job finding it and photographing it. And it was just there for a second and I did not get a shot. So good for her to get these Ovenbird photographs there in her parents' backyard. What a beautiful little bird. I think I was trying to get a picture of a cardinal when this happened, so my loss. And look at this. A lot of times we share photographs of male eastern towhees here, but this is a female. I think she's a juvenile female. That chocolatey brown cover on her upper breast, that will cover her entire head when all of her feathers come in well. But it was cool to see a female eastern towhee. And this photograph, I think this is of the same almost mature male northern cardinal that I had photographed earlier, and this is a Carolina Chickadee. I attempted to photograph the Carolina Chickadee but didn't get a good shot, but Heather got a really nice one. And here is another northern cardinal shot. This one is probably that same one that's not quite mature yet. You can see some yellow feathers or brown. Now this is a female northern cardinal, and that is the correct color for the female northern cardinal. And here is another male northern cardinal. You know, cardinals are common around places where there's bird feeders, and that's not normally where Heather and I do photography. So we took advantage of being able to see so many northern cardinals, both males and females, there in Heather's backyard. Look at that beautiful, beautiful red bird there. I think that's a Leland cypress that it's in. Now here is a photograph, and we're in electronic shutter, and Heather's only at 1/400th of a second, but this is a hummingbird, and Heather has cloned out the bird feeder that it was near. And here is another female northern cardinal photograph that Heather has made. Beautiful photograph there in the tree, and look at these flowers. They called those hummingbird vine, and we think this is a cardinal vine. I'm not really sure. And here come my photos. I got a photograph of the female eastern towhee, slightly subadult, with some almost fall color in the background. Now this is a male eastern towhee. I didn't really like this photo. It's not perfectly sharp, but this was the closest we got to the male, and I wanted to demonstrate the difference in color. Here is one of my photographs of the female northern cardinal. And next up, I got a couple of photographs of a song sparrow, and it was kind of dancing around and bathing in this water that had puddled up. And so I got a couple of reflection shots of the beautiful song sparrow as it was bathing. And I think it was also finding something to eat there on the ground. And now here is one of my photographs of a northern cardinal that was there in Heather's parents' backyard. And next up, I have a couple of photographs also at 1/400th of a second. And by now also, I've switched over to the 100 to 500 lens. I actually switched for that cardinal shot. And these are a couple of ruby-throated hummingbird shots, and I cloned out the bird feeder that was on the left-hand side of the frame. Here's another female northern cardinal there in the Leland cypress. And next up soon, I'll be showing you this beautiful hummingbird photograph that I made there in the common name of this plant is the hummingbird vine, but we think it's actually called the cardinal climber, and it's a hybrid between a cypress vine and a red morning glory. Now here is another cardinal, and it's on a chair there in Heather's parents' backyard, and you can see the cardinal climber in the background. And I know it's kind of a faux pas to take a picture of a bird on a bird feeder, but I love the way this shot came out of the cardinal peeking out with the cardinal climber in the background. And here is the last shot of the video. It's a beautiful female northern cardinal there on a crepe myrtle. And I sure do appreciate you watching and joining us for this video of bird photography from a couple of backyards. And I always look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.